everyone, welcome back to RTS. And what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to do two things. We are going to revamp the skills because we're going to learn something new, and two, reduce the spending because you do not have to go buy anything. We're going to use what's in our inventory, okay? So I'll talk about that in just a minute. And I think what we're going to do is I will show some examples, because what we're going to do is we're going to make faux chipboard, okay? Something I've been doing for years. Literally years. And then I'm going to show what we need, to make them, and then how to do it and some tips, because otherwise, you know me, I'll get rambling and do the whole raccoon thing. So that's what we're going to do. So let me show you some examples, what I mean by faux chipboard. Okay, so here are some beautiful, cute little, and I had bought either a 6x6 paper pad or a couple sheets of paper, and I wanted to play with the collection. And so what I did was I took a few scraps or a 6x6 piece of paper and I made my own because I didn't have embellishments. And so basically it's just the paper with paper on the back, okay? And I'll talk about all that in just a minute. I'm just going to show examples. So there's leaves, there's clouds, there's flowers, butterflies, okay? This was what I did to go with, to make a little embellishment pack for my collection that I was playing with, okay? And you can see they're not wimpy, okay? Look at that. Can you hear that? That's chipboard weight, okay? So what's some other examples? Okay, let me get a piece of paper here. Okay, so these flowers again, but these are just different colors, okay? And so what do I have? These, the back is black, okay? The back of that one's gray. Like a raw chipboard, okay, black, okay? So I'll talk about that, why that is in just a minute, okay? I mean, just look how pretty these are. Again, these were ones I had made because I wanted a collection, and I got a few pieces of paper, but I didn't want to shell out any money for embellishments, so this is what I did. This was one of the things I did. I made my own chipboard, okay, and these were flowers, okay? Just love them. I mean, they're just, can't say enough about them, okay? So let me show you a few more examples. Okay, so I have some feathers here, and you can even use your foil, your glitter. I have arrows here, stars, these oval shapes. Of course, you can tell these are Disney colors, because I always have something Disney going on. I probably should do something Disney on this channel. Maybe I'll do that over the summer. Okay, then of course butterflies and Mickey ears and these bows do not have to do with this, but they were in one of my embellishment packs, so I wanted to show them again because I have a review the supply, which is the Fiskars punch that makes these adorable little bows. They're about 1.5 inches long. So go click on that video and you can see how to make these little bows and some tips and tricks when you're making bows. Okay, so let's talk about these little butterflies here. This was the whole thing that started this whole faux chipboard craze for me many years ago. And so again, it was one of those things. I wanted an embellishment to go with the collection. I didn't want to shell out the money. So I thought, what could I do? I made my own, and I'll talk about what we need. But this is the one that started the whole thing. This is just a Martha Stewart butterfly punch. Okay, so that, I mean, look at these. So many options. Okay, now what's the back of these? Just like a gray. Okay, what's the back of these? If you flip them, it's another pattern, okay? And I'll talk about that in just a minute, okay? So that is examples. So basically, when you're making this faux chipboard, let's talk about what you need. Punches, okay? Punches, punches, punches. That's your tool, your punches. You need pattern paper, scraps, but if you have something specific or a specific theme or a collection or something, it doesn't have to be a scrap. You can use 6x6 papers, okay? And then all of your cardstock that are scraps, okay? Don't cut into your cardstock. Use your little bits and bobs, okay? You can keep these in a separate place in your scraps if you want to use for, to DIY embellishments, okay? These are what I keep aside if I know in the near future I will be making some. Otherwise, I pass these on to someone else. So the reason why you need cardstock is because you save money, meaning, okay, pattern paper is more expensive than cardstock. We know that. So when we're making faux chipboard, it's better to use your more expensive paper for your design, and then on the back, you use cardstock or scraps or scrap cardstock, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to punch layers to make this faux chipboard. But if you would need 4 or 5 punches, well, you're only going to get one out of this scrap rather than just using this pattern paper for the top. Okay, does that make sense? So make your paper that you pay 99 cents a sheet for, most of us do, make it last longer, meaning you're just going to do a top layer in this, and then the rest of the layers is going to be this leftover cardstock. Okay, now don't use copy paper and don't use thin paper. It needs to be cardstock if you want it to have the chipboard. Okay, if you want it to have that chipboard weight and feel. Okay, so we need punches, we need pattern paper, whatever fits your desire fits your project, or if you just have scraps, you kind of want to get rid of them, this is the thing to do. This is what I do. When I have this, I will make some embellishments and then I just get it off my plate. I don't want to see this in my scrap folder. Okay, cardstock and glue. I'll talk about glue in just a second. Okay, so what do? Okay, you're simply going to take your punches and you're going to punch, and of course, I'll show there's another tip I want to talk about. Okay, I'm going to do this heart because that's an easy design to see. Okay, just going to punch, simply, and try to get the most you can out of your piece of paper. Okay, now, I'm a big proponent whenever you do anything, assembly line and batch process. So what I would do is that I would, punch your shapes, but I wouldn't just pick out 10 punches and go that way, because for every one of these, you're going to need a bunch of layers, okay? That probably made no sense. Okay, let me back up. Sorry. Here's how we're going to make our chipboard. You're going to take one piece of your pattern paper, the pretty little thing, and then what we're going to do is we're going to layer it on top of 4 or 5. It depends on the weight of your cardstock, and also depends on how thick you want it, okay? So this is how you make your faux chipboard. You have your one pretty little heart, and then we're going to have 4 or 5 cardstock pieces, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue each one of those. We're going to stack them. Okay, that turned upside down, and that's how you make faux chipboard, because really that's what chipboard is. It's just layers of thin paper glued and pressed onto one another. Okay, and that's how we make it. Okay, so now let me talk about the punches, because there are a few tips and tricks, because there's a couple of things I've learned, and like I said, I've been doing these for years. Okay, in fact, I even have jars of them. Okay, now there's some cork pieces in there, but I've been doing them a long time. Okay, so when you're dealing with your punches, okay, you want punches, and I hope I don't get a glare, you want punches that aren't intricate. Okay, so you like the heart, the butterfly, even the bird would be okay, this leaf is okay, this a little flower, this butterfly, Mickey, feathers, clouds. You see how they are basic shapes, okay? Even this flower, okay? Now let me show you something that you could, but they're difficult, and it's just not worth it, okay? Would be something like this and something like this. And you'll say, well, why would that not be worth it? You see how it's just not a basic shape? You got all these little angles, and you got all these things, because you have to meet these, you have to match them up. You have to stack them and match them up. And it's hard, okay? Especially even this one. I have done this, but it's not the easiest thing. So the more basic shape, the easier they are to do and the faster they are to do, okay? So you see, it's just a basic shape, okay? So don't get into any intricate punches. You can even do it with dies, but you have to remember, every time you want to make one piece of chipboard, you're going to have to run that die through 5 or 6 times. That's a lot different than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see what I'm saying? Punches are the way to go when you're going this route. Okay, so again, stick with the most basic designs you can, because they're going to go faster, they're going to go easier, and you won't be aggravated. Because I'm trying to think what punch it is. I took on a trip one time, and I was, we were going down the road, and I was working on them, and it was so hard to just, line them up and get them nice and stacked and neat, and I just gave up on it, and I thought, well, lesson learned. The more basic the shape, and that's why I wanted to show this heart, okay? That's about the most basic shape you can get other than a circle, okay? So I will go over again what we do, okay? You're going to punch out of your designer paper, pattern paper, the pretty paper, okay? And you only need one for each piece of chipboard. But like I said, when you're doing batch, you want to you know, maybe when you're working on these, just work with hearts. And then in another time, just do butterflies, okay? Because otherwise, you're going to have to keep going back and forth between this and this with your punches, if that makes sense. Okay, so then what we're going to do, I'll get my heart punch, and we're going to punch as much as we can. Now this, you're going to need 4 times the amount, so just punch your heart away. And then what I do is when I'm doing scraps like this, to do fast, I will go the whole perimeter around a scrap. That's what I do. See how many I can get, okay? And then what I'll do, I probably would have got a little bit more, is then I will cut away, and then I'll get this last piece, okay? That's the fastest way to do these. Go around the whole perimeter, and then whatever you can cut away, and use what's in the middle, okay? Because you don't want to do this. Okay, I'm going to punch 2 here. Okay, now what do you have to do? In order to get into this, what are you going to do? You're going to cut this off and punch 2. No. Go around the perimeter and then catch that scrap in the middle. If you want to. Just throw that away. You don't have to. Okay? It's just something when I'm working on that. You know, the less time you have to pick up your scissors and cut around your scrap to get your punch to fit, you know, the faster everything's going to go. So, let me move things away a little bit. Kind of cried myself here. Okay, so here's exactly how I do it. Now, I would already have a bunch of hearts punched, and I would already have a stack of these ready to go. Okay? And again, batch processing. So this is what I do. I will lay them out. Okay? And you can do 4 or 5. That seems to be my going rate. Either 4 or 5. Okay? It depends on the weight of your scrap, and it depends on the weight of your cardstock if you do 4 or 5. Okay, I'm just going to do 4 for now. Okay, so then what I'll do is I'll take my Tombow, and I'll talk about this glue in just a minute. And then what I'll do is I just go really fast on each one of those 4 hearts. Okay, and then I will pick this up and go bam, 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 and then I line it up. Okay, excuse my nails. My leather gardening gloves have left stains on my fingernails. They're clean, trust me. Okay, and then see what I'm doing? As I am pushing hard, pressing those in, smashing them together, and then I'm forming that heart on that top. Okay, getting all my edges nice and crisp and sharp and lined up. And then what do? Well, you're going to lay these out one by one. And I use a lid or something because I'm always in another room or in the vehicle working on these, okay? And you want to lay them out flat to dry. Do not stack them. If you stack them, they will stick together. I've learned the hard way, okay? So again, what would we do? Okay, so this time I'll do 5. And I just line them up in a row. Now remind you, if I'm doing these, I do these on my lap. And so like I use a box lid, or I'll take a little 8x8 iris box, and I'll use that as my little, I put that on my lap and I just work with all that. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this pink heart. Okay, so I have my pink heart here. And then what I'll do is when I'm in the vehicle, this is running low. When I'm in the vehicle, I mean, there's just, you know, you don't have a lot of space, but you can still be crafty. So again, I'm just putting glue on there. Don't have to be in any perfect, okay? Don't get too close to the edges, because when you run to squeeze them puppies, that glue is going to seep out. Okay, see, they're just not stacked in any kind of order, are they? So now, I'm pushing them together, getting them all lined up, and I'm squeezing that down, okay, smashing it. Okay, and then just lining all those edges up. Bang, that's done. Look how fast these go. And then I just do assembly line each time. Okay, now sometimes when I'm getting in the groove, I will lay 4 of these out in rows, and I'll do 3 rows at a time. Okay, if I had more, I would lay another here, and I'd have this all laying here, and I'd put glue there, and I would go bam, bam, bam. That's how you do them quick. Okay, because with this Tombow mono glue, and this is what I'm going to talk about next, is that this is a liquid glue and you have some wiggle room, so you have a little bit of time to play with it, rather than, you know, my favorite glue is this Scotch Quick Dry. Okay, it's called Quick Dry because it dries quick. So this is not, you could use it, but it wouldn't be my favorite. This, I think the coverage is a little bit better because, you know, it's more liquidy and it's clear, which is good, but then it gives you that wiggle room, because I'll do that again. Okay, now I'm not going to the edges. So you see, I'm just kind of basically doing it in a heart or just putting a little some on there. Okay, and then I just go bam, bam, bam. Just enough to get, see, they're not even in order or nothing. Okay, and then I squeeze them, squeeze, 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 and I'm lining them up, pushing, using my fingers, my fingertips, and just keep pushing and squeezing and lining up. Okay, so you want that wiggle room and this mono glue. The reason I like it is because the next day when you check on these, let me find some hearts. That's exactly, these puppies, look, you can't even really bend them. I mean, you can bend them, but I mean, they're stiff as a board. Okay, they're just like chipboard. Okay, now, if you go the next day, I'm going to show a little tip. If you go the next day, of course, these are going to reflect, and they feel like they're, you know, they're bent a little bit or they're buckled, which they won't be, but you can just take your fingers and push them. I think maybe these ovals might show if I find one. Okay, this is not exactly flat. You can just bend that a little bit, okay, because it's just paper. Okay, so if you need to, you can bend them a little bit, but I don't think you'll probably have to do that very much. So again, right there, now I'm going to show you. See how thick they are? See how thick they are? It's just like chipboard. And so what do? We use our pretty little paper scraps and our cardstock. Okay, again, depends on how thick your scrap is, if you're going to need 4 or 5, and if it's thin, even, you know, depending on your cardstock, which, you know, cardstock's cardstock. I can't imagine you would need more than 4 or 5 of your layer. Okay, now you say, well, what if you don't have cardstock in a bunch of scraps like that? Then what you could do is you could use your scraps, okay? But remember, you're going to have to, say if I cut out 6 hearts from there, well, that's that whole scrap, okay? Versus you're going to get 1 if you would just use that for your whole amount of layers. Or you could get 5 or 6 of these if you use the green for your top and use an ugly cardstock or plain old cardstock for your layers, if that makes sense. Okay, now if you're someone that you don't really want to have to figure out which side to use for whatever reason, okay, you can even do a top layer and a bottom layer the same color, and then in between use your cardstock. I mean, some people don't like, they want their backs to be just as nice as the front. That doesn't matter to me, but you can do the front and the back in the same pattern and then put cardstock in the middle. But I do have to stress, to make this chipboard feel like chipboard, you know, you're going to have to use cardstock as your layers, okay? And if you just use plain old paper, you know, lightweight paper is really not going to cut it. You might have to do 6, 7 layers if you're using light paper, okay? But we all have cardstock, okay? So that's why I said use. Okay, so what was the other tip? I told you about the glue. And of course, I told you about this, you know, if you want to cut away, go, when you're doing your punches, go around the perimeter, and then if you want to, I'll just use this one, and then if you want to use your punch to grab that space in the middle, you can do that too. Okay, and of course with anything, the more you do an assembly line or batch process, you're going to save time. So what I would do is I would decide which one you want. Say you just want to do hearts or you just want to do leaves. I love these leaves. Love this leaf. And I love doing the clouds, the butterfly, the birds. Well, of course, you know, Mickey. And then these feathers. I mean, buy anything on a feather motif and see how much you pay for it. You can make your own. I mean, honestly, I mean, look how many different ones I have here. Different colors, different patterns. And also, too, with these Mickey ears when I was making them. I remember I was sitting, it was over a holiday, and I was sitting down and I had leftover pieces of these and I just backed them. I just backed them the same because I just had so much left over and I wanted to be done with my scraps. That's why the front and backs are basically the same. It's just because I had so much left over, I just went ahead and added one because I just wanted rid of the scraps. I didn't want to throw away any Mickey ears. Okay, so again, you can use foil, you can do neutrals for the back, you can do white for the back, you can even do black for the back if you want to have, and that won't show up. You see these black ones that are backed in black, they have a little bit of a shadow. You see that? Now there's one that's not completely lined up, but if it's in black, it don't matter. It looks like it has a shadow. Learned that off Nicole McGorick how many years ago. If you want a shadow, back it in black. Look at that. Oh, and these are all, see, they all have the black backing. Beautiful. Okay? So, if you want something to have a little bit of shadow, use black cardstock. Okay, that's another tip. Okay, I also told you the best thing to do is when you're making them, I had 3 right here, lay them out. Do not stack them. I did that on a trip one time, and guess what? They were all stuck together the next day. What a waste of time. Okay, so lay them out flat to dry. Do not stack them, and let them dry overnight. Okay, and then because the next day you'll be like, oh my, because right now, see, look, I can bend that. Okay, that's just paper. Okay, see, I can bend that. Now look at this heart. Yeah, that, you can't bend it. I mean, you could if you really wanted to, but I mean, no. See, that's the difference. That's what drying overnight. That's what it is. Okay, so see, because it's just paper and it's wet paper. I can't bend that. I can't bend it. So this is why I recommend this. It's by Tombow Mono Liquid Glue Aqua. Why it has all those names, I don't know. Maybe there was a contest. I don't know why it has to have Tombow Mono Aqua Liquid Glue. Tombow Mono, okay? And it also has this other end, and I really have never used that end. But it's there. They call it a broad tip. And there's the pen tip. Okay, I use the pen tip. And yes, I have 6 or 8 of these at a time in my inventory. These are my 2 favorite glues. Oh, and I wanted to say something. Oh, I got a question. A lot of people are telling me they can't find this quick dry. Well, it doesn't look like this anymore. It looks like this. This is the new. They changed their logo, they changed their packaging, and they changed the name. Okay, it's not called quick dry anymore. It's now called tacky. Okay, and I'll talk about this for the next few videos because it's just been a controversy. So I had contacted the Scotch company and they said that this formula is the exact same. It's just packaging is different and yada, yada, yada. So it's supposed to be the same, but it's tacky glue. But if you read on the packaging, it'll say quick dry formula. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. Scotch Permanent Tacky Glue. Okay, I have seen it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, even Staples, and Target. Okay, so this is old, this is the new. Okay, and yeah, I'm going to get on a rabbit trail. Moving on. Okay, I think that was it. I think that was everything. If there's any questions, I hope I covered everything. But if you have any questions, put it in the comment section below, and I will try to answer it. But again, what do we need? You just need a punch. Let's do some green. Oh, let's do this blue. I think this is a pretty blue. And so, of course, you know, the size of your scrap can determine which ones you're going to do. Because if you look at this, say if I want to do this flower, well, that's scrap, and that's not going to work. So that's why I like this little leaf. It can use the smallest of scraps. Look at that, just pretty little thing. Of course, Martha Stewart punches. They're really a good product. I know people talk about Martha, but her tools are just pretty good. Okay, so there you go. And then what I would do is I would just punch some of these. And again, you're going to need, for every piece of pattern, for every blue flower there, I'm going to need 4 or 5 of these white ones or black ones, craft ones, gray ones, just whatever cardstock. I mean, even if you want to back it with the other bright, bold color cardstock, just as long as it's cardstock, okay? Oh, that's going to go flying, okay? So now I would lay these out, and I would do this all at one time, and I just put a little dab, okay? I don't even... Now, don't get too close to the edges, like I said, because it'll seep out because you're going to push them. And watch this. That's all I do. Bang, 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 bang. And then, see? That's a mess. And that's why that clear liquid glue, this mono, is good. Okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to line those up. Okay? Of course, I got something tangled up here. Okay? And you're going to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. Okay, and of course my tails are all messed up, but that's what you do. Okay, just keep pushing, keep lining it up until it all looks good. Let it sit out and it'll dry. And I just put them right here. I lay them in a tray because I'm always doing them in another room. Lay them out flat, dry, and they get as hard as chipboard. I mean, just listen to that. That's chipboard. That's how they make chipboard. That's how we make chipboard. That's how we save money. Okay, so that is the faux chipboard. And again, let them dry overnight. And there's so many things you can do with them. Okay, I think that's it. Or otherwise, I'll just keep sitting here playing and talking and going over that. So again, go with your basic designs. Use its Tombow Mono Liquid Glue, your paper scraps, cardstock scraps, and then you know what I say? have fun, go to town, punch and punch and punch and glue, let them dry. Okay, that's all I have for the faux chipboard DIY, and if you have any other questions, list them below. If there's anything else you want to see, list it below, and come back to RTS because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye!